Singapore is set to raise standards at foreign worker dormitories, outlining plans to build 11 new ones aimed at reducing density in their accommodation. And some of them will be located near residential areas. This was announced by Singapore's government today, which also revealed that some 40,000 migrant workers are cleared of infection a day before the first phase of Singapore's restart. And we speak to our reporter Tan Soo Hui, who was at this virtual conference. So, Soo Hui, what's the plan for these new dormitories?
So changes are going to be made to their specifications and the way they are managed as part of what's been described a continual process to lift standards. It's also part of the response to the huge infection numbers in these settings, which have now largely stabilized. And so for the short to medium term, the aim is to transit workers out of these crowded dorms into temporary dorms where 60,000 spaces are expected by the end of the year. This will include so-called quick-build dorms where new best practices can be piloted. Now, the longer-term plan is to have 11 new purpose-built dorms which can house up to 60,000 workers within 2 years. Now, workers living there should also have access to medical care and support. Conversations over how to fund this project, as well as the cost involved in upkeeping them, are ongoing. But the government says employers and operators will have to bear some cost moving forward. Now, because of land constraints, some of these new purpose-built dorms will be located near residential estates in parts of Tampines, Choa Chu Kang Grove, Admiralty, Boon Lay, and Tuas. Some years ago, similar plans to build foreign worker dorms near residential estates sparked concern in the community. Let's hear what the government says about this.
I would also say that Singaporeans have to do our part as well, because in land-scarce Singapore, it is inevitable that some of these new dormitory sites would be quite near residential areas. So all of us must do our part by rejecting the not in my backyard mindset. We really need to appreciate the contributions of all that our migrant workers have been doing and will continue to do in building Singapore, and welcome them as part of our community. And this is an important part of how we can also learn from this whole experience and become a more inclusive society.
So Singapore will restart much of its economy tomorrow. Construction will resume as well. What's planned to ensure safety for their work?
Well, for starters, 40,000 workers have already been cleared of infection, as have 60 foreign worker dormitories. To ensure the workers return to work safely, there will be systematic regular testing and early detection. There will also be new tech solutions, such as an app that tracks if all health and safety preconditions are met before they are even allowed to go to work. Other safety standards will be enforced too, like fewer people sharing facilities and better hygiene and segregation practices. For that, the authorities will work closely with dorm operators and employers. And from a space perspective, the overall plan in dorms is for there to be more living space per resident, fewer people per room, fewer people sharing toilets, and more sick beds. Let's listen in again.
Our overall aim is to strengthen resilience against pandemic risks. So it is not just that we try and reduce the risk of widespread transmission, but how we can respond more effectively when there is an outbreak.
A point that the authorities also want to make is that we must assume that risk will always be present in a dormitory, just like the risk is present in any household. According to studies, such places have been shown to be settings where infections occur easily.
All right, thanks very much for that, Tan Soo Hui, with the latest update.